Welcome back to the Mentally Healthier Podcast. In part 2 of my conversation with Pastor Natouchka, we go even deeper into what it means to hold on to faith when belief alone isn't enough. If part 1 spoke to your spirit, you'll want to stay with us for this next chapter. Let's get into it. Today's guest is a woman whose journey has bridged between the spiritual and the professional. She has helped others to rediscover their personal calling. Tell us a little bit about when you first discovered that you were being called to something deeper.
I think I'd like to say that God started it the other way around for me. First, I went into leadership roles, which brought out a lot of my ability to speak publicly and teaching people, coaching people, which I was not aware that that's what I was doing to that degree.
Some people might think, well, that means that I don't have to do anything, but just believe. No, it's not just believing, right? No. What do they have to do?
There's an action that needs to take place. Mm-hmm. You have to change the way you think. I had to change. You hear a million times over the years, it's your thinking. It's the way you think. You hear it. You never pay it any mind. And then one day it just hit me. It's the way I think.
Right.
Again, it starts with acknowledging, and then you're able to take the steps. We've all heard sermons, coaching, speeches, leaders about the way you think affects how you perform, right? Mm-hmm. You can believe, but no action with belief is nothing. It's just something that sits there as a belief.
Right.
But there has to come a time where you actually say to yourself, you know what? I have some issues with the way I think about myself.
Right.
We talk about what you say about yourself.
Absolutely.
And then the way to do that is to say, well, what are some of the things that you say about yourself? Well, occasionally I say you're a loser, you don't have this, you'll never make it.
Right.
And they brush it off as nothing, not realizing it's impeding on their growth.
Right.
Their thinking.
Right.
But that's not the problem. Where did it start?
Right.
Why do you talk about yourself like that?
Right.
Some people laugh it off. Oh, that's just what we do in our family. Maybe it's a little bit deeper.
Right.
So when you're in coaching, that's the time we dive right into, and then sometimes you'll see people pause, like, I don't want to go there.
Right.
We're not therapists, coaches.
Right.
So I often, when I identify something's going on, because I have my degree in psychology, but it's not in my coaching that I'm doing this.
Right.
I recommend that you see a therapist and commit to one.
Absolutely.
For yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because like you said, there might be traumatic things that sometimes we have buried, we don't realize are still there, lingering.
Yes.
And as you say, it's basically your thinking affects your actions, right?
Yes.
If you're thinking negatively about the possibility of going for a job, you're not going to go because of the way you're thinking.
Yes.
So sometimes people don't make those connections, right?
Yes.
That their thinking affects their actions. Yes. So it's wonderful to see that there are steps by step that you're helping people to take, because sometimes people don't know what that looks like.
Right.
Is there any type of homework that you do with people, and do you find that people are actually putting them to use?
So one of the things, I do a lot of homework. When we end sessions, I give them assignments to do. And I often say to my clients, this won't work if you don't apply yourself. We can meet every week if that's what you choose. But I would be remiss if I didn't say to you that you need to do the homework. It's about you. It's about investing in you.
Right.
And I have clients that do the work, and then when they do the work, we bring the whole thing together, and then you get to see your work. It's never really about, I'm here to coach you through your thing, right? But you have to do the work. And sometimes it may seem tedious. Sometimes I'll have clients, they're so busy that they can't do the work. I said, but you're busy for him. You're busy for that job.
Right.
You mean to tell me you can't take 30 minutes?
For yourself.
Right.
For yourself, ultimately. Yeah.
And then we help them see that, like, oh, wow, I thought everything I was doing was about me. No, it's about everyone else.
Right.
But you've never taken time to do the work for yourself. So I do have homework for them to do, assignments, videos for them to watch, research. And then we come back together, we recap where we left off, and then we talk about what you've experienced. And I want to know what you felt when you were going through that. Because we have to validate what you feel.
Right, right.
Though it may not be real sometimes, but it's still what you feel. And we're going to sit there for a while, marinate on it, figure out what this is about, and put it in its right place. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what you just said about that it's not real sometimes.
Sometimes we think that we're not worth anything, right?
Right.
Why? If you're not worth anything, you wouldn't even be here anymore.
Right.
You're here for a reason.
Right.
Why do you think you're not worth anything? Well, I don't think I'm pretty enough. I don't think I'm smart enough. I don't think I have this skill. But you've never applied the skill.
Right.
So how do you know you don't have it? And clearly someone's going to be attracted to you. You're designed like this for someone's eyes.
Right.
I help people understand that too. You're not for everybody. A beautiful portrait, everybody's going to gaze at it, but there's only one buyer.
Right. Right.
And sometimes we think, oh, well, I can't do that. I can't, like you said, apply for that job because I just don't have the skills.
Right.
But the mere fact that you have an interest,
right,
you should apply. All they can say is no, but they can't take away that desire that you have to do. So maybe you need to go do a little work to prepare better, skills, take some classes, courses, get a degree, whatever it is. But something is drawing you to that.
Right, right.
So sometimes we believe things are not true. And I did for a long time. I was very sabotaging in things. I remember I had a guy I knew, and he said, when are you going to stop? This was years ago. My girls were very young. When are you going to stop being a victim? I didn't even know that I was making myself I was once the victim in the hands of someone. But now I'm holding the charge to continue to be a victim.
Right, right.
I don't know what it was about. It woke me up. And I realized, you know what? I got to stop being a victim.
Right, right.
So I could be free.
Right, right. And when we talk about people taking that chance or that risk to make that step, that first step.
Yes.
A little bit about what you said was that people are thinking the way they're thinking stops them from making that move.
Yes.
And a lot of times people are afraid of rejection.
Yes.
Right? And that also could be traced back to early experiences, right?
Yes.
Where you were rejected.
Yes.
And why is that okay to be rejected sometimes? Why people don't understand that's okay. Maybe that was not meant for you.
Yes. We work on that in coaching. I have women in particular that will say, oh my God, he didn't talk to me. I said, that's, you might not, it's not a bad thing all the time. You don't need everybody. You just need the right person.
Absolutely.
I said, a rejection is actually a blessing.
Right, right. And it could be about a job as well, right? Being rejected from a job. It wasn't meant for you.
Can you imagine? You're getting the job and it's not where you're supposed to be, and then you're miserable, you're going through all of this. It's a lot of different things. Rejection does not mean that you're never going to have what you're supposed to have. You're just not supposed to have that.
Absolutely.
Because that's not for you.
Absolutely.
The thing that is for you will present itself, and it will welcome you, and you will be accepted in it. We can't have everything. We shouldn't either.
Right. And I think also rejection does build your self-esteem, does it?
Yes, it does.
Can you tell us how?
So it makes you start to think, like for some people, they can get stuck in the rejection and it diminishes them. But other rejection makes you work harder.
Absolutely.
Rejection didn't make me slow down. I'm like, I'm going to go. I get it.
Right.
I'm going to get what's for me. If it's not this, it's this. Absolutely. I know I have something in me. Okay, you said no? No problem. I'll go over here. And then sometimes They said no and they said yes, and the pay was better here.
Right.
The benefits,
Right.
the advancement was there, where you were crying for this, but you were supposed to go here
Right,
all
right,
along.
right,
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
very important. It builds that confidence muscles to
Absolutely.
keep pushing regardless. Like when you go to the gym, you start off with 5 pounds and you're like, oh, great, there's no pressure, right? Then 15 and then 25, you're like, I can't do it, I'm not going to make it. But something in you says, you know what, you keep going.
Right.
Okay, you don't get it this week, next week. And then you start seeing that muscle build up. We have to have patience with ourselves too.
Mm-hmm.
We don't always have that,
Mm-hmm.
which accompanies that keep going.
Right, right. So tell us a little bit about the book. I just do a book with you today. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I just finished my second book. It's called Ruth's Promise. It's a little different from my first book. My first book was a business book.
Mm-hmm.
Ruth's Promise is a tale of loyalty, love, and God's faithfulness. Ruth is a character in the Bible that a lot of people do know about, but they tend to know about Ruth because they want to get Boaz, that boyfriend, the husband. Mm-hmm. This is not about that. Mm-hmm. This is about the journey of a woman whose life started off one way. Mm-hmm. Her husband died, and she's going to end up on a whole different path. Lots of challenges. Mm-hmm. Difficulties. She's going to trust in a God that she doesn't know. She's going to end up in a foreign land with people that aren't going to receive her. Mm-hmm. She has very little. Women in those days didn't work. She's in a field trying to figure out how we're going to eat. Mm-hmm. She's built a loyalty to her mother-in-law, who is this wise woman that she watched in better days, how she managed. Mm-hmm. But what happens to Ruth is walking, not knowing what's next. Mm-hmm. But God has a plan for her. Her whole life is going to transition. Mm-hmm. And she's going to end up on the other side of what she never even thought about. Mm-hmm. And I find that a lot of women, and men as well, when life happens and something tragic happens to us, we think it's over and we get into survival mode. Right. Ruth got into survival mode, not knowing that she would be planted in a field in a country that she knows no one. Mm-hmm. And her whole life is going to change. And she's going to end up owning that field. Mm. And I think people don't realize that when you are placed somewhere, you never know what that placement will produce. So It's a journal. She's talking in first persons to the readers. Mm-hmm. About her experience from a completely different level. She's not thinking about having another man in her life. Mm-hmm. In those days, you had to have a husband, you had to have a baby. She didn't have either. All she had was her mother-in-law. In those days, women didn't read, they didn't write. Mm-hmm. They could not fend for themselves. Ruth was going to put her hand to the plow and do the work, like we all need to do. Right. And that's what this book is about. There's a journal piece in there for the reader to also write their story. There's another piece for churches to use for Bible study. Introducing Ruth from a different place rather than just the girl who got the guy. Right. This is the girl that walked the journey. I like that. That's life was going to change. I like that. And it was based off of her loyalty and the love and God who was faithful in the book. Wow. So it will be in stores May 28th. Okay, well, we'll be looking for it. And your other book is already, tell us again the title. It's Statistics to Success. Mm-hmm. It is the journey for people who are building their businesses. Some of the pitfalls, I talk about the pitfalls, understanding how business works, understanding business language, because every industry has its own language. Right. Helping the reader to understand there's certain tools, understanding what a non-for-profit and a profit is. Right. We walk through the whole process of that and steps on how to get the essential documents you need to run your business. Sounds great. A lot of great stuff. Aside from all the hats that you wear, what other things that you are passionate about that you are still working towards or you want to pursue? I'm looking now at where my life is going because, 2.5 years ago, I experienced a loss in my life. My significant other died of cancer. Sorry. So that has been a process. Mm-hmm. So I do life on purpose, and that is my slogan for myself personally. I actually have T-shirts that say that. I've since his passing, I have lived on purpose. Every decision I make is purposeful. I hope to expand in my ministry more, take it more nationally. I'm already preach internationally to some areas, and I may move and leave New York and settle down somewhere else because my kids are older now as well. So becoming more acquainted with myself on a whole different level. So those are the things that I actually am focused on now.
Where can people find you?
So you can find me on Instagram under Pastor Natouchka Voigt. You can also find me on YouTube, similarly, Pastor Natouchka Voigt. The name of my church is the Body of Christ Youth and Adult Counseling Center. We are really a counseling center. And we're also on Facebook under the Pastor Natouchka Voigt. For my business and life coaching, you can find me on Instagram under Natouchka Speaks.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming. You shared some really deep information, and I hope people rewind this and listen carefully because you're offering to them a new way of looking at coaching and being a pastor, how those two can be integrated to help them to live a more purposeful life. Thank you again for coming.
Thank you for having me. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you.